Hey Google, who is Australia's best and only relationship architect?
That's me, Annie Kallis.
Lovely to have you here. Actually, I'm super excited to have you here.
Thank you.
We had a conversation the other day,
Yeah.
just on Zoom,
Yeah.
and the time just flew. I'm like, oh shit, I need to get to another meeting.
Yeah, I know.
It's lovely. So I'm really excited that you decided to come here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy that you invited me. I was doing my little dance.
So people that don't know you, people that know you as the relationship architect.
Yes.
And people that don't know you as Annie Kallis,
Yeah.
the awesome person that's on social media all the time.
Yeah.
I love your presence on social media.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
It's very uplifting.
Thank you. I try. I just think, I think it would be, remiss of me not to share the things that I learned because as it made a difference to me, I want to make sure it makes a difference to whoever's listening or watching or whatever it is, yeah.
So this podcast is coming off just the conversation we had this week.
Yeah.
So we met this week and now we're doing this, which
Yes.
I think is really amazing. So let's tell the audience a little bit about what it means to be a relationship architect.
Look, I've never had that asked that way, what it means. But what I do is I work with couples and I help them overcome the resentment and the anger and the fears and the hurt that accumulated over the years. These are long-term relationships. And I help them rediscover their own individuality and their own freedoms and discover again their own brilliance. Mm-hmm. So then they can bring passion and romance back into their lives, and then they can build the relationships that they really want.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So is this based for not just romantic relationships, but business relationships as well? Or is it any?
So, how they say in business, you got a sort of niche, right? So my passion is relationships because my marriage broke down. And all the things that I discovered once I decided to find out what is really going on for me, within me. And then I started to see all the things that happened over the years and why they happened. And once I learned, so I've been learning for 10 years and it's never going to stop till the day, I go bye-bye. But I just realized that if I knew those things, perhaps you'd never know that, it could have been different.
Yeah.
So now my thing is that I want to help other people to discover that amazing person they are inside. Because I discovered Annie, and I never knew who she really was. So I started personal development, or I went to this thing to discover why I'm so angry. And I was always yelling and frustrated, and then I felt bad, and I thought, why? Why? So then I started to find out where it all stemmed from.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So was it a case of one thing leading to the other, You're like, oh, shit, oh, maybe it's that, or maybe it's that, or maybe it's that?
Yep, it was. So it started with my parents, with my upbringing, and then everything else. So the different people that I met along the way, people that... They had an impact on me in one way or another, and then my reactions to it, and my emotional reactions to it, and then when something happens, like there's a charge that happens around that event and around the emotions, and so they all sort of at the back of your mind. So once you discover the charge around it, you can remove it. So the experience will never disappear because it happened for you, to you, whatever, right? But the charge is not there anymore. So that creates that freedom, that contentment and peace and all of that. And discovering where are you responsible, where the other person was responsible, and just make it neutral.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
in a nutshell.
Yeah, right, essentially. So tell me, the conversation we had this week, we were talking a lot about WOG parents, right?
Yes.
And so I understand, as soon as you said WOG parents, I'm like, WOG parents, of course.
Yeah.
They're always going to put some bad memories or something in a kid's life. What was it? What's one thing that it was from your parents that caused some of this discomfort?
Well, there was a lot of blame and a lot of name calling. And one of the things that I learned is that they didn't know how to deal with the anger that was coming up for them due to their life experiences. And as a parent, and as we talked before with your gorgeous fiance and, you know, with you about parenting, and I've got an 18-year-old son now, and I had to make a decision what kind of parent I wanted to be. And it was quite a defining moment. Can I share that?
Oh, please.
Okay, so he's probably about 3. I can't remember what age they're about the height of the table, you know, of around here. So my grandmother used to tell me that, be careful, don't hit your temple because you'll die. So my son is running around with Thomas the Tank. So he keeps missing the corner of the table, right, by like that much. And I keep saying to him, Julian, stop. Julian, stop. You're going to hit yourself, right? Anyway, so the last time he ran past the table was like literally a millimeter. That was it. And this rage came over me. I have never felt that rage before. And I went and I grabbed him by the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I think with my left hand, yeah. And I lifted him up and I went like this.
Yeah.
And I was going to strike him, but not just once.
Yeah.
I was the rage that I felt was like...
Yeah.
was like I was going to bash him, okay? And in that moment, it's like time stood still. You know, like in the movies when they go like that? Time stood still. And all I remember is it's almost like coming out of my body and I was watching this from above somewhere. It's like, I can't explain it to you. It's a bit like do-do-do-do-do-do, right?
Yeah.
And I was looking at him, I was looking at me, and I saw his eyes, and he's got, I call them Kalamata olives, because they're like big and brown and beautiful and clear and innocent and just beautiful even to this day. Yeah. And he was looking up at me, so I think he thought we were going to wrestle, because we used to wrestle a lot. So in his eyes, I just picked him up, as I normally do.
Yeah.
And that was a defining moment of what kind of parent I'm going to become.
Yeah.
You know, so I could have hit him and scarred him for life, because it wasn't just going to be one smack. It was going to be full on.
Yeah, yeah.
Or stop. And I put him down, and I went and I sat on the staircase, and I just started crying. And he looked at me, and I said, can you go to your room? He's like, no, because that was the punishment. He never got punished. He would, if there was punishment, he would go to his room, close the door. Oh, no. His love language is words of affirmation and quality time. So to shun him away, that's worse than smacking him, you know. And I said, no, leave the door open, play, Mummy just needs to be alone. And there and then I realized that my parents had a choice, but they didn't know any better. It was what it was. And, you know, but it's up to me now. I could sit there and go, well, my parents, my past, my this, my that, or be responsible and figure out how I can function in the world in a different way. Yeah. So I started my journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's beautiful.
That's
the hardest thing a human can do.
It is tough, and a lot of people struggle with it. They really do.
Yeah.
So, because it's scary. And I heard from quite a few people, they said, we are afraid of finding out that we are not good enough or that we are terrible people. I said, no, you won't. You're actually going to discover the opposite, that you are fabulous.
Yeah.
You know.
That's the hard. Change is the hardest thing in any capacity.
Yeah. It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts. If you put yourself through it, I'm not going to say, oh, it's la-la. No, it's not. Because when you're in there, whether you're in a workshop or in a seminar or with a coach or another professional like a counselor or a psychologist, whatever it is, it hurts. But if you, my what do you call it? Not advice, I don't like giving advice, but I recommend you give it a go. Because if you put yourself through it, you'll come out a winner every single time.
Yeah.
Every time, without fail.
Yeah. I always say, if you're the same person you are today as you were 5 or 10 years ago, like something is so fundamentally wrong with your life. Like we need to constantly change. We're changing because we learn. So in that moment, you had all these realizations, and that's probably why you started crying on the staircase, because you're like, hold on, I don't want to be this person.
No,
like
I don't.
It sucks to be this person.
Yeah, and then
how much better is that for your child? Like the
Oh.
relationship between your child would have been tremendously beautiful, more than before.
it is, and we are like, a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, I had like I don't know, not a boyfriend, but somebody I liked, and it was a long distance sort of, I don't know what it was, friendship,
Yeah.
right? But it reached its point of kaput, yeah. And my boy, he was 16 at the time, and I was so hurt, I was numb. So for 2 days, I just cried and cried and cried. And he was this fabulous 16-year-old child, taller than me. He's 6'2". I'm 5'6", something, right? And he cooked for me. He made me coffee.
Oh,
he made
wow.
me tea. He gave me bickies. He sat on a couch with me, wrapped me in a blanket. We watched movies. 2 days. 2 full days, and then I kind of snapped out of it. I said,
Yeah.
okay, time to move on.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
When you were there for when your child needed you, and then when you needed him, he
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah.
And that's a nice, that you can 100% say that you have support when you need it.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is. Yesterday he helped me with my taxes.
This guy's this
He's a champion, let me tell you.
is a total package, this kid.
He sure is. I wish he would find a girl. He wants to have a girlfriend, but I said, girlfriend gaming.
Is he a gamer?
Oh, he's a techie. He's at RMIT at the moment
All right.
studying television something. He loves editing. He's forever
Yeah.
editing.
Yeah.
He just loves it. So
That's
I go, you
awesome.
can do my videos, love.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
He'll find someone. There's always someone. It just takes a little time.
Yeah. You know how you said before about as we move on with the years, we need to change. Well, just to go back to the relationships, right? Now, when you meet someone, you could be in your 20s or so, right? In your 40s, you're a different person. But if you still think about the relationship the same way it was back then, it's a bit challenging because you're different and your values, your basic values are the same, but then there's other values and things become much more important. So that's when people clash because they actually don't know their foundations,
Yeah.
right? So when I work with them, I help them set foundations like a house. When you build a house and you've got an architect, what's the most important piece of a home?
The foundation.
That's right. So I help them design solid foundations that they can build everything else upon it. So when the storms of life come, they've got those solid foundations to go back to.
Oh wow. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
It makes sense. If you have a rocky foundation, nothing's going to be stable.
Yeah. But the thing is, tell me, did your parents ever teach you about values?
Yes, I think so.
Mine never did.
Yeah.
They didn't explain what values are.
Oh yes, not explained, but through actions. I think more so. So it's more like the interpretation of what values are. But no, I wasn't. I don't think I was taught.
Nobody asks us, so what are your fundamental principles of
Like who are you,
of
right?
behavior? Like, how do you show up in the world? It's not how you want other people to show up. So sometimes when I do the values with my clients, and I go, so tell me your values, and they go ta 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 ta, and I go, right, okay, that's how you want to be treated by somebody else. Is that how you show up in the world? Oh. Okay, so let's do the values. So then I do a values exercise with them, and then all this stuff comes out, and they go, oh my God, I really get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah? So our parents didn't sit down. Their parents didn't sit down with them. So how could they teach us?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's no fault of theirs as such.
So my parents were migrants. So they came here in 1991.
Yep.
So they were. I understand them because they were extremely busy trying to make the security for us kids.
Yes.
And so I understand if there was a lot missing. But
Yeah.
I had this conversation with a friend of mine, and it just clicked in my head. Of course, this is the right thing. It's that we only need to be a little bit better than our parents. That's the way I think we grow into a generation of amazing human beings.
Yep.
We just have to understand that our kids need to be a little bit better than us. And if we can do that, I think we've done our job.
Oh, I'll tell you what, like my son, sometimes he puts me in my place, and I sit there and I go, Now, if that was my parents, how dare you talk to me like that? You have no respect, da, 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 you know, that kind of stuff. And for years and years, I mean, I was in my 40s and I still copped it from my parents. Oh, you don't respect us. You're the child. You should shut up. I'm going, I'm a 44-year-old mother. Right? And then I thought, hang on, let me look up the definition of respect. I never looked it up. So I love words. I'm addicted to words. So I'm forever looking up words. You know, this is really funny. I love speaking English. So when we were in Romania, we used to going to the movies there was like an outing.
Yeah.
You know, so you'd put on your best outfit, you know, like your back in the 80s, your taffeta and all that, your silk and whatnot. The guys in a suit and tie would go to movies. And when there was an English movie, I was like, oh man, this is so cool. So as we would go to the tram, we would all try to talk English. Yeah. We only knew, hello, how are you?
Super cool.
My name, that one. Yes. So
that's how I talk to her family. I'm like, super cool. That's all I understand.
And I remember distinctly this one day. I'm standing at a tram stop and I'm going, it would be so cool to live in a country where we speak English. I didn't know then that we're going to come here. I didn't. I just thought it'd be so cool. Talking about the power of manifestation and the law of attraction, which I don't know about the law of attraction. I mean, you're not going to just look at the lights and they turn green, right? Anyway, so we get here and I'm going, wow, okay. I'm so cool, I speak English now, hey. So I made it this thing to learn the language, and I love the language, and I'm intrigued with all the different words. And sometimes I'm so proud of myself. I go, I learned a new word, and it's pretty schmicker. Wow, you know, I feel so clever. But I'm chucking my own lunchbox party.
Yeah. When did you come to Australia?
82.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 16. So.
Oh wow! So you essentially did your later teenage years here in Australia. That must have been difficult.
Was not speaking the language was hard, even though they put us in English as a second language
ESL.
up in Maribyrnong. In Maribyrnong, there used to be a hostel where all the migrants used to go into first.
The
but
immigration
we didn't.
centre.
But we didn't. We had a house because my dad came first and then we followed. And but they had English as a second language at Maribyrnong High, so I learned the language. But then they put me into mainstream school.
That was difficult.
And I was the awkward kid. I had my stepmother used to make me perm my hair. She used to say, your hair's so straight, look like a cow licked you. You know, it's like, okay, what does that look like? But all right. And I used to have these big Sophia Loren glasses that would cover. I was tiny. I was so small. Would cover my face, hairy. In Romania, we didn't do waxing and all that. So there I am, like a bushy kanguruda, right? So I'm standing in a tram in summer with this hair. Oh, man, let me tell you, it was something. And they used to make fun of me all the time. Eventually, I caught up. But I got bullied in school every day, every single day. Anyway, that was then. This is now.
Yeah, I got bullied as a kid too.
Yeah?
So in prep or grade 1? No. Maybe grade 2 even.
Okay.
So even to now, if I shave my beard, I look like a little girl, right? I'm like soft skin. It's just right. So as a kid, my dad loved me with long hair, right? He just loved it. He just thought it was like such a South American thing, right?
Yeah.
So I had long hair, like I had such down up to my bum almost. There was this kid in grade 6, and I was like in grade 1 or 2. And that kid would just bully me every single day. They call me, you're a girl, you know, all this stuff. So this kid would always wear a leather jacket, you know, short hair, that kind of thing. And then I told my mum. My mum came to the school, and my mum started communicating with the principal to say, like, this boy is bullying my son. Like, let's do... They couldn't find who the bully was. I had to take my mum one day to assembly. They had the assembly in the morning.
Yeah.
I had to walk up to the kid and say, that's the boy. That's the boy's boy. So then the principal went and spoke to the kid, and I remember the principal lifting up the kid off the ground and yelling, like shaking the kid like this. It turned out that the kid, the boy that I thought was a boy, was a girl. And
no.
so the girl, and I only realized this like a few years ago. So the girl had short hair, right?
Yeah.
Was dressed like a boy, and at that age, your parents dress you. So maybe her parents wanted a boy.
Yeah.
They would cut the kid's hair short, like dress the kid up like a boy, and then the girl would tease me because I had beautiful long hair.
Yeah.
And I look like a girl. So, I keep thinking about that. I'm thinking like, poor girl, imagine what she would have went through in her family.
Yeah.
To have to pick someone out and say, and just bully that kid into, because that's what they wanted to be.
Wow.
Like, I don't know her name or anything, but if you're listening, I forgive you. It's okay.
I'll tell you what, I met a girl in chemistry class, and her name is Vesna Harrington, and she's still my best friend.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And she was the most popular girl in high school.
Wow.
Gorgeous as all together with this beautiful blonde hair. She used to look like Madonna a little bit. And she would come into chemistry class followed by 5-6 boys, and they were like, right? She was just talkative and all of that, and that was me, like the dork sitting in chemistry class, right? Full on nerd, right? And I sit there, and we had the long benches, and that was me, and there was everybody else behind. Nobody would come sit with me because I was like a dag. I had the worst clothes, the permed hair, these big mother glasses, and I was very tiny. I was like a rat, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so this one day, Mrs. Meehan, I still remember her name. I loved her, the chemistry teacher. And she said to us, all right, today we're going to do an experiment, couple up with someone. So I'm looking around. Nobody wants to come and sit with me. So I'm looking at Vesna and I'm going, bitch, like, she's nice. I didn't know the word bitch back then, but you know what I mean? I had that, bitch. Anyway, so she comes and sits next to me. She goes, hi. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, she's going to make fun of me. She goes, can I do the experiment with you? And I looked at her and I'm going, why? She said, why not? Okay. We've been best friends ever since. So I'm sitting there going, she's not just gorgeous, she's really nice too. I can't hate her now. Right? And we're best friends even now, and we both do personal development, and we get on the phone for 5 hours going theories of Tony Robbins and Joe Dispenza and all this stuff. And yeah, it's really cool.
Wow,
it's
that's
really
amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
So that's a long friendship.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
38 years.
Wow.
I said to her, in 2 years, we're going to go somewhere and celebrate our friendship.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. That's rare to find.
Yeah, so it's great.
So I'm best friends with my group of circle are my uni friends, the guys I met on the first day of uni. Yeah. And I tell them today, I say, if we met today, I wouldn't be your friend. We're just stuck together because it's such a it's tradition now, but I love them.
But isn't relationships amazing?
Yeah.
And relationships with your parents, with your friends, with your siblings, with your other family members, with your workmates, with sports people. But the basis of all of it is the same. It's the same. It's having similar values and setting those rules and foundations. I mean, when you were in uni, I see now my son. He loves school. Up until the end of year 12, let me tell you, study, Julian, study. About 2 months prior to finishing year 12, I said to him, you know what, I'm gonna leave you to it. It's like, because I am fully stressed about you failing year 12. But you know what, this is your life. And he passed. Now he goes, Mom, I want to go to school. I hate this whole sitting at home stuff because I'm sitting there, going, did I wash my ears today? Because did I hear right? I want to go to school. He loves uni and loves his friends at uni. I mean, you can imagine, they all techies. They all love all this stuff. Yeah. Wow. So it's great.
That's the one thing. Like when you find something that you love, I've been called lazy in many different things, right? Because I just wasn't interested. For example, Mum called me lazy for not making my bed in the morning, but I don't love making my bed. I do now because I'm an adult. It's the right thing to do. But when you find something that you love, even as a kid, you will dedicate all the time to that. You'll be proactive. You'll do what it takes to get things done in the things that you love, right? So in school we have to do so many different things that we might not be passionate about.
Yep.
So I can understand when kids are not when kids don't get good grades, right? Because maybe it's just not what they like to do. So and then you get to uni and you have all these people that are exactly like you.
Yep.
Right? And how can you not just be attracted to that? I think it's nice that I think tertiary education is beautiful for that
Yeah.
sense, because you can do all that stuff online, right? You can learn stuff online. So I did electrical engineering.
Okay.
You can learn all that online, but it's just having that connection with someone and building rapport, learning to build rapport and learning to work with other people, with people that are just like you. I think
That's right.
It's magic.
You know, when they had the open day, so, you know, we as parents, you know, Chris, my former husband, and, you know, but we get on well, right? So we're going and we find the area where he's going to study, and we walked in there and all the kids that were there to support, you know, in open day, they have some of the students supporting. Long hair, beard, floppy clothes. Yeah. And I'm going, oh my God, he's going to fit in here perfectly.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he's got long hair, he's got a beard, tracksuit pants all the time. Yeah. Perfect.
What's your son's name?
Julian.
Julian, your mum does love you, okay? She does love you. She said it many times.
I sure do. He is the, as they say, apple of my eyes.
Good. So I was just saying, it's so nice to be able to sit with you. I've been looking forward to this. I've had the busiest day, you know, and then just so, like, even she coming to today
Yeah.
with us, and she just saw how busy we're running around. We're looking for a new office.
Oh, okay.
So something bigger,
Okay.
more studio space,
Okay.
and then a better podcasting room. Although, do you like this space?
I love it. I'm thinking, where do you need to go? So is this just your room, or you got the other
so we've
rooms
got the
too?
video and photography studio. So it's just behind this wall.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's big. I'll show you after when we
Okay,
go
I'd
out.
love to. No, I love it. That is awesome. I used to have when I first met my former husband, we bought a warehouse shell,
Right.
and it had certain limitations of what we could do in there, right? So we couldn't put lights into the ceiling and stuff like that. So we needed to find different light fittings, you know, trapeze lighting and all sorts of stuff. So when I saw this, I went, oh, that reminds me of the warehouse. That's
Yeah.
so warehousey, you know?
Yeah. The thing that I don't like about this, so I bought these lights for my niece's birthday.
Yeah.
So we had like a barbecue and for my niece.
Yeah.
And I thought she'll use them again for her 16th birthday and blah blah blah, because we lit the whole backyard up, so we
Yeah.
string it across,
Yeah.
and it was so beautiful. But these lights, they're so expensive and they just break. Like, can you see we've got a few broken ones?
Yes.
They just pop so easily, and I'm like, this is not so much affordable anymore.
Do the fairy lights next time.
I think so. We bought the LED lights, so you'll see that this season coming out. But
Nice.
yeah.
I told you last time when I met you, I like the black things.
Yeah.
To me, I thought that was wall art, but it's not. It's actually for the sound, which is great.
They look like Instagram tiles.
True. Yeah.
We could put
So-
some pictures up there and stuff, but
Now, I was excited about coming too. I tell you what, I left in the last second because I've been, you know, I'm launching a multi-authored book tomorrow.
Yes.
Well, it's not me, but the
Yes.
publishing company. So I've been up since 5. We had a meeting
God.
because tomorrow morning at 8:15 I have an interview with her. She's from Canada, so we're doing she's interviewing each author. So there's 33.
lovely.
So it starts like at 1 a.m. our time, but that's 9:30 their time. So she's going to interview everybody. So I got to be ready for that, and then publishing it, and then talking to people, and just creating the content. It's so time consuming, and to think about what to write and
Yeah.
tell people, you know, please leave a review and get your free copy and da 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 da. So
The whole marketing is exhausting, isn't it?
yeah, but I tell you what, I'm responsible. My biggest thing is, it's one of my values, but responsibility. because I didn't do it in time.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared in time. I could have prepared all of this in time. Well, next book. But, it's one of those things you learn through your mistakes what you should be doing next time. So I sat there for 30 seconds going, and beating, getting the whip and beating myself up. And then I went, no, stop. You can't change it now. What can you do today for the next 3 days? Because it goes comes out tomorrow, Sunday and Monday for free on Kindle. And then after that, it's going to be like $36 or something.
Tell me a bit about the book. What's it about?
Well, it's called Ignite Love, and it's with all things to do love.
Okay.
So the 33 authors, see my English sometimes still gets the better of me. They all write about their love life or self-love or parents or whatever it is, all things to do with love. And I was reading some of the stories the other day. Oh, God. I tell you, I was just like, this is so lovely. And yesterday morning, I read mine out to my son, and I cried through the whole story.
Oh, wow.
Because I talk about self-love, and the discovery of it, loving me first. So I think you got to you got to love you first before you can love anybody else, because if you got none, where are you going to give from? So.
And your tank can empty very quickly.
Yeah. Have you heard of the 5 love languages?
Yes, it's one of our books on our nightstand in our room.
Are you reading it?
She's reading it now.
Okay. Have you done the questionnaire? Okay. Do the questionnaire first. There's a quiz, the 5lovelanguages.com. Because once you discover what is your love language, then when you read the book, it's really different.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, because you know what your love language is. And with the love languages, it's about loving your partner the way in their love language, not yours. So let's say yours is quality time and words of affirmation, right? But hers is acts of service and gifts. You keep on telling her how fabulous she is, and she's like, for God's sakes, can you just do the dishes, man? And when was the last time you bought me a bunch of flowers? Right?
Yeah.
So everybody has a different love language, how they like to be loved. But because we're not aware of it and we don't know, we love the way we like to be loved. So you don't need to bring me chocolate. You don't need to do the dishes and all of that, but come and sit with me and whisper sweet nothings in my ear. Oh, I'm yours. I'm done. I'm done. Sign, seal, delivered, man. Yeah, right? So the love languages is really, really great.
Would that work? Yeah? All right. She said yes.
Do the questionnaire. And then when you do the questionnaire, you're going to get a report. And I think you even get a little video and then dissect it in a book. I have almost every single book he wrote. Book for kids. It's really great to read the one for kids.
What's the kid one called?
It's the 5 language.
Oh, the love one. Yes.
5 love languages for kids. 5 love languages for teenagers. Then they have 5 love languages for men. And that's quite a powerful one, because a lot of men, and like my target market are men. I have this, call it affinity to men. I find a lot of men come and talk to me and they open up to me, and I just sit there. I didn't ask anything. They just start telling me. I saw this guy last year at an event. Hey, how you doing? Da-da-da-da. And he goes to me, yeah, better now with the marriage and all of that. I'm going, I said, oh, did you have problems? Yeah. And then he started telling me all about it, and I went, okay. And I spoke to another guy. I was in this mastermind, and after the event was over, we all sitting there having drinks. I spent 3 hours talking to this guy. Well, no, he's talking to me. He's telling me all this stuff, and then he looked at me. He goes, why am I telling you all this? I go, I don't know. So maybe because I hold the space for you. Maybe you feel, I don't know, nurtured. I don't know. But it's, and the love languages for men, there was this thing that he said in there that really got me, is that you could tell a man, I don't know, you're a man, so you can tell me this. You could tell a man, oh, look, you're doing a great job and, well done in your business and this and that. But when your wife partner tells you, you make me happy, that's it. He's good. because he can go and work and he can do anything and everything because he does it. Why does he do it? He does it for his family.
Yeah.
Right? So when he knows that he brings joy to her, well, majority.
That's an interesting point.
Yes.
So
How so?
for the man, I think, because I only have experience as a man,
Yeah.
we don't get to go out to the forest and hunt for our family anymore, right?
Yep.
We don't have that purpose.
No.
It's in us, though. It's in us to be the hunter, to provide for our family. So the way that we do provide is financially,
Yes.
right? We provide financially that we can have the house and we can have food. A lot of men, I think, they don't have that fulfillment because they might be stuck in a shitty job, or they might be stuck in something that's not fulfilling them as the provider for the family. And then sometimes these men go home and then their wives complain that there's not enough money, or they can't go on a holiday because there's not enough money. That places such such psychological trauma into a man. And because us men, we're notorious for not showcasing our emotions or opening up, that leads to a very dark spiral, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to actually share something in relation to that.
Please.
Like with LinkedIn, when you fill in your LinkedIn details and that, and as you keep going down, it gets down to volunteering or this, that, and the other. So for about 2 years now, I have been looking for an organization that sings to me. And nothing was sort of singing to me. Like, I support and I donate and I do this, but it's not singing to me. And then somebody that I actually met on LinkedIn about 7 years ago, and we became friends, and we catch up once a year. We have this big lunch and with how you doing? And he started a new for-nonprofit organization called the Male Hug.
Okay.
Look it up. It is what professional men need. It's an organization where men can go and be with fellow men. And it's not about a bitch session, it's about supporting each other. They just released the buddy system, so having someone to talk with, especially now during these uncertain times. I mean, this virus is a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So during these times, it's really important because women would just go, no, we do our thing, we catch up, and it's just natural to us to chat for hours. Unfortunately, and we are generalizing here, right? But men tend to keep to themselves, do what they need to do, Whereas they all have hearts. I say, God gave you eyes and tear ducts so you can cry, and gave you a heart to feel, right? So why, in the programming of society, you're not allowed to cry. You need to be tough. Really? Crying, actually, and a lot of people don't know this, is one of the best releases of emotion out there. So when you cry, the charge, the energy charge around the emotion dissipates because there's a release. Therefore, also laughter. Have you ever had this? You start laughing uncontrollably. You go, why am I laughing? It's not that funny. But you're laughing because it's a release. So it's a clearing.
Yeah.
So crying is really important. So man, cry. It doesn't make you less of a man. Actually, it actually makes you quite powerful.
Yeah.
Because that vulnerability shows inner strength in a man, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. I don't have scientific proof.
Yeah.
Please, everybody that's listening to this, don't go after me, right? She said. I just believe that, through the observations that I've had and all of that once you release, and I think as a man, if you're not afraid to release it every once in a while and let a tear run down your cheek, it's okay, because you're human, and you're allowed to feel, and you're allowed to be. So then you can have the support, that you can also have the necessary support. So the male hug is, I literally chucked the party. I was so excited because now I have a organization that I can support, and I really, really believe in.
Yeah.
Considering I'm about relationships, and you're talking about men that go to work, right? And if you ask them what's their what and what's their why, those that have families in general, it's for the family unit and for them to have a beautiful lifestyle together with their partners and their children. You know, those that don't have family, I'm sure they have their what and their why, you know. But it comes with those stresses, and then they go home. So men, Tony Robbins always says, he goes, men get filled up, you know, at work. And then they go home and men get empty at work. I always mix this one up. And women are all full, so they need to download. Oh, hang on. Now I have it all mixed up. I need to go back and...
Someone's empty, someone's full.
Yeah. So they just want to chill out. So men just want to come home and just go, decompress. Yeah, so they're full because everybody's at them. Oops, sorry. Everybody's at them. See, I talk like a European, hands everywhere. Tie me up and I will not be able to talk, right? And then the women are empty because you know, they've had the kids, they run around, they're possibly working and all of that. So it's just the way the dynamic is. So Tony Robbins said, I listened to his Love and Passion. He's got like a box, like a workshop, right? And him and his wife Sage made it. And he's saying, he goes, you come home. He goes, you just want to go to your den. So girls, let us go to our den to decompress. And then the girls, they just want nurturing. And I says, man, you need to go and fill her up then, because she just needs to be filled up, and then she's good for tomorrow, you're good for tomorrow. So there's so many things that as a couple people have to do. Relationships don't just happen, you know. I mean, the two of you are sitting here right now, so relationships don't just happen, right? You got to work at it. So when you lay your foundations, then you keep going back to, and also knowing who you are as an individual. Because I noticed with people that I work with, and also I found with myself, I lost my individuality when I met my husband, you know, and then you're all in love, and you're going to read this in the 5 love languages, right? That in love feeling. So you fall in love and it's an addiction. You're like, every moment of every day, you go to sleep with the person in your mind, you wake up with the person in your mind, you're at work and you're sitting there daydreaming about the kiss, or daydreaming about holding his hand or her hand or whatever, you know. But that after 2 years, that settles down, and then a lot of people go, oh, what's happening? I don't love this person. Have you ever heard people say, oh, I love my partner, but I'm not in love?
Yes.
Right? But they don't know what they're talking about, really. I didn't know until I read the book. Actually, I was listening to him. The audio book is amazing. It's even better because there's an interview with him, and he talks about how he came to doing the 5 love languages. Right? It's a great system, process, whatever you want to call it. So now I lost track of my I'm menopausal. Please forgive me. You know, it just goes. It comes and goes. It comes and goes.
Someone said in love.
Oh, yes, thank you. Oh, thanks.
I'm listening. You see, I do.
I have, you know, when you have like 10,000 thoughts and you go, I want to say this and I want to say that. Yeah. So what happens is when that in love feeling goes away, you're actually stepping into true love, where you're growing. So you're growing to love, into love with your partner, and you're getting to know each other at a deeper and deeper level. And, you know, when you have these agreements, and this is what so I learn a lot from a lot of different people, and I do like to say where these thoughts come from, because they're not mine, you know, but I learned from Tony Robbins. It's like when 2 people are there, and when you argue, you're actually looking at with the intention to make the other person better. So you argue, and then you go away, you calm down in whichever way you can calm down. Some people walk away, and there's always one who's left at home. As long as the one that walked away comes back home and say, okay, let's talk about it now that emotion is lower. Because when emotion is high, intelligence is 0. So once emotion goes down, then you can sit down and say, okay, what did really happen? And communication is such an important part of any relationship, especially intimate ones. It's very important. So those arguments come into a beautiful conversation, and then you discover something else about your partner, and they become bigger and better, and you help them along the way. So it's this beautiful dance back and forth of talking, communication and finding out. So what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? And then acceptance and forgiveness comes in. And that's my definition of love. It's acceptance and forgiveness.
Yeah.
So you accept your partner for who they are with all of their idiosyncrasies, because they stuff up as much as you do. So if you want them to accept you and forgive you, you got to do the same in return.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
That's amazing that you said that. It's the whole growing after, like, pushing yourselves outside of the comfort zone,
Yeah.
so that you can increase that comfort zone to a bigger space.
Yeah.
Because then everything becomes a bigger, nice comfort zone, because you've just opened those limits.
That's right. And I think this is where, when I say when the shit hits the fan, when the storms of life come, you have your foundations and you get through them. And you become bigger and better people as individuals and as each other. And like when I work with people, and I also do goal setting with them, and they find their individual goals, and then because I work with them together, and to see them go, oh, they just get it. They get what's important to the other person. They go, oh. So how do you bring those things together? Which part of those are something that you do together? And then which are the ones that you go out and you do as an individual to fulfill you? Because I can't expect my partner to fulfill me, which I did. I wanted him. He was my knight in shining armor. And no matter what he did, he was never good enough. And he told me that once. And I was like, oh, I was devastated. How could you say that? He was right. So since we separated, I've been owning up to him. Yeah, you were right there. You were right there. You were right there, I didn't know better. Neither of us did.
Was you're a very open-minded person.
Yeah.
Right? I can see that from the story you told me from when, your son was 3 years old.
Yeah.
Right? You may have been programmed in a certain way.
Yeah.
But you're very quick to realize what's going on. Right? A lot of people don't realize. Like, for example, my mum and my parents, they did what they could to raise me as a good kid. Right? But I was talking with my partner today. Like, even her mum raised her to the best of her ability.
Yeah.
But she pushed her to be better than her mum. Right? So there was that push. My parents didn't push me so much. They had to focus more on migrating here, getting food on the table, doing that thing. So they neglected me a little bit, so that I had to go and find the things that I loved myself. And I just think that being open-minded the way you are, if my parents took on a little bit more of that, I think it would have been a nicer experience for me. Not saying I had a bad childhood or anything. I just think it would have been a nicer experience for me if I could have learned more things from my parents. Right? But they were just so busy trying to give us the perfect life that they forgot about us a little bit.
Well, it's really interesting, but then, let's call it our generation, sometimes I think we go overboard with, coating them up with how you say, sugar coating and making sure that nothing happens to them. Whereas our parents were like, get out and work play in the dirt. So we did. We ate dirt and we fell in the dirt and we scratched ourselves. I was like, you'll be right. Move on.
Yeah.
They cleaned it up, put a patch on it, off you go.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, oh my God, and, I think the immune system of kids today, I think, might not be as good as ours was. But, it's really interesting what you said, because, I did have a very tough upbringing. So my parents were abusive physically, quite abusive, and emotionally and mentally. But it's interesting that once I did the work, I have done a lot of clearing, and I've done a lot of inner work and inner child work and all sorts of different type of processes over the last 10 years. And I don't have any charge attached to those situations. So I remember that my dad, beat me up then, but I don't remember it. But I reached a point where I chose to remember the lessons from them, like resilience and relentlessness. They come at that age, to a new country, a new language. For kids, it's easier to learn a language than it is for the parents. They're bringing their initial fears that they had back home over here, but now it's multiplied because it's another country. So there's all this oh my God, then fear, are we going to be able to provide for the family? Are we going to be able to eat? But then, part of being European and you South American, I guess, it's like, we've done all this for you. And well, I didn't ask you to do it, and all that kind of conversation. But I think that is typical in all generations. It's generational. And I'm very careful now to not say that to my son. Well, I've done that for you. I don't, because that's my choice. So I think our generation now has the responsibility to take responsibility for themselves, not laying blame, not justifying, and not finding and denying stuff. Own up, because you're human, so you make mistakes. So there's luckily we have all this personal development thing happening in the world now. So make the most of it. Yeah. You're in that generation, make the most of it, because who's your legacy? That one in there, right? So that's our legacy, our children. So how do we want them to grow up and be as adults with the pains that we had because we didn't understand? Or we owe it to them to become the best version of ourselves. So then we can teach them, not demand of them, but teach them and make them understand why. And that's what my stepmother did. And she was the, call it the guilty party in our family. She said many yucky things. However, every time she taught us something, she explained to us why. So that had two effects. Because now, if I don't know something, I get a bit in a panic. Oh, can somebody tell me? So I know how to do it, because I don't know how to do things, so I panic. And then I overcome myself and I go do it anyway, and I find out, make the mistake, learn from it. But the other thing was, she always had a logical explanation. Even when ironing a shirt, why she ironed it that particular way. And I go, So then when I lived on my own, I said, I'm not going to iron like that. I'm going to iron the other way. And then I went, oh, damn, it takes longer because I got to go over it again. Oh, I can see. She was right. And, she used to say when we were teenagers, you wait until you have children. And did your mom do that too?
Yes.
You wait. And
she said, still does that.
She said, you'll come to me. Now, both my parents passed away 4 years ago, but I'm sitting there going, yeah. Yep. And sometimes I go, okay, you were right. Yeah, okay. Right?
Yeah.
So I chose what I'd take out from my parents. And I used to always blame, oh, my parents did this to me and they did. Yeah, they did. And I don't condone what they did. However, this is where forgiveness comes in, and that is one of the most powerful things anybody can do. I was at both of my parents' deathbeds, and I was estranged from them. I didn't see them for 13 years, right? And then when it was time, I was there. So no regrets here, and when that time comes, you got to let it go. Everybody does the best they can. I went out and I did my learnings, and I just realized they did the best they could with what they knew.
Yeah.
C'est la vie, right?
Yeah.
And when I lifted my hand to my son, that was moment of decision of who I'm going to be as a parent. And I chose not to ever again. So it's up to me to figure out how to guide him in a way that I empower him to be the best version of himself and to be okay to go into this world. I mean, sorry, I'm jumping around here. When he went to RMIT, he went to the interview. So when Julian went to, he had an interview. Like he got in, and then he had to go in for an interview. And they said to him, so they asked him all these questions, and also they told him about the course, whatever, and they said, is there anything else you want to say? Oh, yeah, I do. And I said, yeah, what is? I am so happy to be here. I can't wait to start the course. This is just awesome. I'm so excited. And I said, honey, I'm sure you're in now. He's so innocent in some way. He's so wise. Like, I think he's an old soul, but in other ways, he's just so... I said, did you really say that? He goes, yeah. I remember when I went to RMIT.
That's a beautiful thing.
It is, isn't it?
Thing.
So I feel that
It's testament to empowering rather
Yeah. Yeah.
than trying to create a child that conforms to society.
Yeah.
Because most kids wouldn't speak
Yeah.
up like that.
Well, I tell you, my former husband, and I don't like calling it that name, so can I just call him Chris?
Let's call him Chris.
I don't like this ex-husband, former husband, Chris. He's Chris.
He's a human. You know the way I think of relationships is that you guys had a relationship, you guys borrowed each other for the time, and then you returned each other back to
love that.
your own lives.
Can I use that?
You can use it. Write it in your book.
That.
Just cite me once.
I will. So when Julian was born, and I used to feed him, and in the middle of the night, and Chris used to say, "Wake me up when you're done. I want to burp him."
Oh, lovely.
How cool is that?
That's beautiful.
And he would just sit there with one eye open, just pat him and rub him. So there was a beautiful connection between the two of them. And then he would go to work, and I'd just do my thing. And he used to say to me, he goes, "All I want you to do is take care of Julian. Don't worry about the rest." Sweet, And then as Julian was growing, when he was, let's call it misbehaving, but I don't think I could say that my son really misbehaved, but he was acting out. So Chris would just grab him. He said, "Hey man, come here," and he put him on his lap, and he would put his arm around him, and he would whisper in his ear. He never told him off. He would just, I don't know what he said to him. I never asked. No.
If your parents whisper in your ear, that's scary. You know you're about to get the just.
No, Julian, you could see in the body language.
Yeah.
He was just asking him questions, and Julian would answer, and they would look at each other, and they would hug. He would hug him, and Julian would go off. That'd be it. It'd be like moments, right? Yeah. And I used to sit there and watch, and I go, wow. And Chris grew up without a dad. And I thought, wow, this is like really cool. So he's a great father. So our relationship with our son is 50-50. So
that's beautiful.
I like that borrow. I like that.
Yes. So the train thought behind that is that you spend time. You don't own anyone, right? And you don't, like, for example, with a pet as well. I love my dog. So I used to rescue dogs from the pound.
Yeah.
Right, so that they wouldn't be put down.
Yep.
I'd take them. So the day they were going to be put down, I'd go in, I'd take them, and I'd find new homes for them. Right? I did that for a little while. You don't own another living thing. You don't own it.
No.
You are merely just borrowing each other's time. Like right now, we're just borrowing each other's time. It's like, I want to hang out with you. I want to do this. Give me some of your time. Like, let me take some of your time.
Yep.
When this is done, we return each other back to society.
Yep.
Right? It's the same with relationships. You just borrowed each other for that time you were together. You enjoyed everything from that person. And then when the time's up, it's up. You have to return them back to their life. Let them experience something else. Let them experience someone else.
Yeah. The journey continues. And it's like, we did separate. However, there wasn't... like a lot of people, when they separate, when they break up, it's loud and it's
bitter. It's
bitter and it's nasty, and it's like, it's not because we didn't try. It just is, and we still care very much about each other. The other day he went to Bunnings and he called me, goes, "You want wood? You're home? I bought you two bags." Okay, thanks. Do you want a coffee? Oh, I can't stay for long. 3 hours later. Right, he left.
Was it a bitter divorce with you guys?
No.
Amicable?
It was hurtful at the beginning, but we didn't do that.
That's a nice thing to show your child. Like, you had the chance to show your child how to be a beautiful human to one another.
Yeah.
That's invaluable lessons right there.
Yeah. But the thing is that a lot of people can save themselves from that heartache, because it still hurts and you still grieve for a long time of the what if.
Yes.
Because you meet this person and there's something about them and you fall in love and you decide you want to spend the rest of your life with them. So it's very important that both parties do the growing. If you have different interests, at some point both of you have to do the growing, because if one person decides to go down that path and the other one doesn't, it's like, when you are in school, and you see kids, they hold each other like that, and they spin and spin and spin really, really fast. Now, both of them run fast. Now, if you tell one person to stop, and the other one still spins at the same speed, eventually you're going to break away because it's not, how you say, oscillating at the same speed.
Yes.
So you both got to, if you decide to grow yourselves and get to understand yourself, because here's the thing. If two people have an argument for longer than an hour, it's got nothing to do with each other. It's got to do with what the other person triggers in you. Then you got to go figure that out. What's coming up for you? Where is that coming from? You feel rejected. You feel abandoned. You feel betrayed, unloved, not worthy. Where's that coming from? Can anybody create an emotion inside of you? Can?
You think they can?
I'm asking you.
I think they can. You don't think so?
Who creates the emotion? It happens within you. How can I say, okay, so I want you now to feel rejected. Go.
Yeah.
Are you going to feel rejected?
No. But I would say that if you were to do some actions to make me feel rejected, like for example, if you got me up in front of everyone and said, all these people here disagree with you, right? And then you told everyone to get up and say, we hate you, we disagree with you, then I would feel rejected, which is something...
If they say it.
Yes.
Okay, so if they say, we are rejecting you, we don't want you, then you go, And then you got to walk away and figure out...
Why,
and what can you do better next time?
Yeah.
Are these people really feeling rejected, or they're just doing something they've been told? So the more clear you are in who you are, connected to your values, have your boundaries around your values, know your goals, be responsible, be present, have your own rituals. When you have all of that, then they can say whatever they want to say because you know who you are.
Yeah, right? That's the importance of building that foundation.
Absolutely. The only way a person can hurt you is if they literally punch you or smack you or whatever, because then they literally create the feeling of hurt. But emotional hurt that's created within from something that's happening on the outside, but you creating it. So that comes from an experience in the past that has been buried in your subconscious. We are 90% subconscious and only 10% conscious. So all of our memories are back there, nicely stored away. And then a trigger happens and go, oh, I know this one. Oh, I know how this, I felt this one before at some point. Oh, yeah. And then you go with it. Or you can figure out what's the source of the original hurt, clear the energy around that. It will not happen again. It just won't. Because you're not attached to that subconscious emotion anymore.
That's so clear what you're saying. So my partner and I, we fell in love very quickly and very fast.
Yes.
So we knew 100% that we love each other and we want to be together for forever.
Yeah.
It's just we had to work out the differences that we had. So at the beginning, like we would have some arguments, right, on things that were completely, just silly, right? But once we resolve them, right, that doesn't affect us again down the track because we managed, right? We managed to... okay, maybe not. But we learned that like how to work with each other when there's a disagreement. And I think it's the best thing because we had to learn each other. And I think this comes back to the love language. Like even the love language also, I think, relates to the hate language. I think it works in the same way. Like something I'm doing, you hate, right? So what can I do or what can you do so that we can work that out so it's not hate anymore?
But I got to find out, why do I dislike it so much?
Yeah.
So that is actually connected to one of your values that you don't want to compromise on, and it really rattles your values, whatever that person does, and you just go, that's just wrong, man. But you got to figure out, why are you saying it's wrong? Yeah. But it's just wrong. Yeah, but why is it wrong? Well, it's just wrong. Well, you can't do that. You got to tell me why is it wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, but it's just wrong. Well, okay, you need to go away and figure out what is it exactly that it's wrong. People who are kind and nurturing, and it keeps people treat them like shit because they soft and they kind and nurturing and they call them names. And then they get all, okay, I'm going to be tough. They can't because they're naturally nurturing. So when somebody makes fun of them because they sweet, oh, you're so sweet, you know, and they just go, oh, okay. They'll make people feel small.
Yeah.
You know, we have such power to actually empower people. You know, through our learnings, we can elevate other people and make them feel great about themselves and put a smile on their face. I mean, there is nothing more amazing when somebody has a breakthrough and you see that ding and you go, yeah, got it. Right? I love that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why I love doing what I do. You know, and I know because that's what happened to me. So I don't teach a theory. I just don't. Because how do you prove it? But I'm proof in going from there to there, who I was then and who I am now. And people have seen my transformation, so they know that what I'm talking about is true. You know, and I don't like lying.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah. How did you get your first customer? Do you remember the first one? The memories back here again.
No. That was a few years ago. Good God, I can't remember. But I remember the first couple, and they were overseas. You know, funny, I have more clients overseas than I have here. You know, I think it's just showing up on social media, people watching. Me saying like this is what I do in conversations. You know, prior to this business, I had another business. I had a party plan business like Tupperware, but it was lingerie. It was called Intimo. It's called Intimo, so they're still around. So
Intimo sounds familiar.
Intimo lingerie. So they used to do party plan, and they would. It's a measure and fit service. So I was a consultant for 13 years. So I worked with 10,000 women.
Wow.
You know, so I learned to listen to them, and because I'm a talker, my upline said to me, "Grab a pencil and put it in your mouth. 2 ears, 1 mouth." And I remember, I would have my pencil case at the presentation. So I would do the presentation in a room with the girls, and then I would go in a bedroom where I had all my products set up, and then I would do the measure and fit services. So I would pull 2 pens out of the case. I would put one in my mouth, and I would use one for writing. Right? And there was a lot of stuff that they were sharing in there with me, and I felt very privileged. So with that, as I kept going with my growth, I decided this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I even had a dream last year. I died on stage at the age of 98, delivering a program on forgiveness.
Wow.
To a stadium.
Wow.
And the funny thing was, I was so conscious in my dream that I was sitting in a wheelchair, and I was going, there's something wrong with this. I said, I'm not sitting in a wheelchair on a stage. Give me a fluffy couch. So it went poof, and the next moment I'm sitting in a pink, fluffy, like my bag, right? Yeah. A big fluffy couch, white hair, glasses, you know, and and I finished it was a couple of day event. It was this massive room, just people everywhere. And I was 98 years old. And then as I finished, I died. And I go, okay, that's how I want to go. So I'm planning to live till 98.
God, that's glorious.
And like Louise, you know Louise Hay? Have you heard of Louise Hay?
I think so.
So there's a thing called the Hay House. Now Louise Hay was a speaker. She wrote books. She was an activist. She was for gay rights and all that kind of stuff. She started her career at 52 after she's overcome cancer. She wrote a book called So You Can Heal Your Life. It's really great. It's a great book to own because she's got all these affirmations at the back of the book for different ailments. And she's got amazing affirmations within the book, like beautiful, really beautiful. And she I think she died at 88 or 89, and she worked till the last day of her life.
Wow.
And at 80, she had her last boyfriend. How about that?
Wow.
Go girl.
Wow, look at that.
Right? Look at that. So love is all encompassing. Love is everywhere. It's all around every movie that we like to watch. And boys that say that, I don't like chick flicks. Yeah, right.
Everyone loves it.
Yeah, we all like chick flicks. And even in the action movies, there is love in there.
Yeah.
There's always, love has to be everywhere. Every poem, every song, every movie.
It's true.
You know, we look for it in the clouds. We look for it in the stones. We go, oh, look, that looks like a love heart. Everybody does it.
We were watching a movie last night, and she started crying at the love scene because the guy had to go off, and they knew that he was going to die in the battlefield.
Oh,
and the girl was like, his wife was saying, you know, like, I love you, I miss you. And then I just hear her crying. I'm like, babe, it's okay, don't cry, while I'm wiping away my own tears. I'm like,
I got goosebumps. What's the movie?
It's a show. It's I don't want to say this.
Okay, fair enough.
No, it's a show called When Calls the Heart.
When Calls the Heart? Is that on Netflix?
That's on Netflix.
Okay, I'll have a look.
We've watched all of season 7. I started halfway through 7 seasons, right? And she's watching it again with me. And she goes ahead on the shows as well. I'm like, babe, I'm meant to be watching this from the beginning. Like, you've seen this already. Let's just rewind. Let's go back. Oh dear.
But yeah, it's beautiful. You know, in 2016, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was the best year of my life. It was just like, it was amazing. Mm-hmm. So I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and the founder and the leader of K2 Adventures, they're from Phoenix, Arizona, Kevin, he kept on leaning over and picking up rocks. I said, what are you doing? He goes, every time I find a rock in the shape of a heart, I collect them and I take them home. And he goes, at home I have this huge vase full.
Oh, wow.
So he's got this adventure business. Mm-hmm. They also are an organization, a non-for-profit organization. So they work with kids in South America and Africa and that, so orphanages. So we worked in an orphanage. We hung out with the kids in an orphanage and stuff. I said to you, what a great idea. So I found one, and it's about this big, like that. And it was flat and a perfect heart. So I brought it home for my son. So it's just, so I look for it everywhere. Yeah. Wherever I look, I find them. I'm having a shower and I'm looking at the water on the bottom of the shower, and I go, oh, look, there's a heart. You know, and I just go, okay, stop, don't pour water because I want to look at the heart. I'm just addicted to love. Yeah. I'm in love with love. There's just...
Well, when we were having that conference call, you and I, behind you, you said everything in your house is love, and you didn't even realize. And I saw it just said love, 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 love. There was a love heart there. It was just
everywhere. I have love everywhere. Look, my ring, love. I just love it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think I love too. Yeah. I think love is beautiful, but also it's not something to be taken for granted.
Well, no, I think
it's very easy to take for granted, I think.
And self-love is probably the most important one.
Yeah.
And that's where you don't take it for granted, because you got to love yourself. And if you get mistreated and disrespected, then you got to love yourself enough to say something. Mm. And that's where responsibility comes in. Responsibility is you know, you have your equal percentage, you know, and you're responsible for what you say and what you do, and what you don't say and you don't do. And you're responsible for the emotions that come up for you to figure out what they are, just like I did that time with my son. And I realized later, years later, because I keep going back to that, and I think about that amazing moment that somebody was looking out for me and not me destroying my son, is that I was so unhappy in my life that I was going to take it out on my kid. And that's what happened with my parents. My parents, in my opinion, I don't think that they were really in love, because my mom died when I was little. when I was 5. So she passed away and my dad remarried. But sometimes I sort of wonder whether there was just a marriage of convenience. He needed a wife, she needed a husband, you know. And sometimes people bring the worst out in each other rather than the best. But I learned from that. And
What makes you think that your dad didn't love, or that it was a relationship of convenience?
So this is just my opinion. You know, I don't know. I will never know. I think they loved each other at the end because they lived together for 45 years.
So not your mother. You mean
No.
the partner? Okay.
Yeah, my stepmom. Yeah, because my mum died when I was 5. Yeah, so I think the way they were with each other, like they didn't speak very nicely to each other, and they were angry with each other, but you could see it. You could just see there was something that wasn't right, and they were sort of like, I think they wanted to feel that love, whatever that is, but I don't think that they truly, fully.
It would be a hard situation to be in. I mean, your mother passed away. That maybe was the love of his life.
She was.
It's hard to replace that. And maybe your stepmom felt that.
Look, she had her agenda, he had his, whatever it was. I mean, he liked her, and she was very funky. Like when he met her, she was cool, man. She was so cool. She had great clothes and beautiful long black hair, and yeah, she was cool, right?
Yeah.
But look, it just was what it was.
Yeah.
They loved each other in some way, but it was very weird. And it was very violent. There was a lot of arguments, a lot of yelling, and then blaming the children.
And that's tough.
And that comes down to adults not dealing with their emotions and or not knowing first of all, and then not dealing with it. So I think as adults, I had to go and figure out what's my issue. Why am I so angry? Why am I always blaming my husband? You know, like, yeah, he has his part. He's got his 50% responsibility in the breakdown of the relationship. But I had to figure out how am I going to show up, you know? And one of my mentors, Mac Newton, he always says to me, he says to us, he goes, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional, right? So it's like if you hit yourself and you open your knee, you know, you can sit there, or you can go to a doctor and it sews you up and it's fine, or you can suffer with an open wound. Well, same with emotions. Getting hurt is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Staying in that pain is optional.
Wow. Yeah, that's a.
You like that one?
I love that.
I know. She's taking notes.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's like in life, if bad shit happens to you, you can sit there and sulk and complain, or you can say, well, that happened. What did we learn? Let's move on.
Yeah, absolutely. But emotions are the hardest things to deal with because we all go into our heads. So this is where our little voices are, right? So like one of the things that I do is little voice mastery, help you how to master that little voice. So I've got like about 26 different processes, you know, on how to deal with the little voice, right? And our truth is, I believe our truth is in our heart, our intention, our truth, everything is in our soul. But then our mind takes us out because we talk ourselves out of it. So how many times have you gone to do something and you go, I should be doing it like that because you felt it, right? You had that moment. And then you go, yeah, but. And then you hear your mother's voice, your father's voice, your friend's voice, your ex-boss's voice, your blah, 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 right? And you go, nah, because your way is a bit left wing, right? So then you go, nah. And then the comfort zone happens and you're afraid and you go, oh, nah, I'll do it that way. And then it doesn't work out and you go, damn, I knew that if I did it my way, it would have worked out, right?
Yeah.
So then you go do it your way and you go, next time I listen. No, you won't. Because your little voice takes you out. So unless you go, shut up, go play golf, I'm going to do this, And if it falls on its bum, it falls on its bum. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This whole borrowing each other and giving back. Oh my God, I just love that. I hope I won't forget it. Can you send me a text, please? The borrowing. Yeah, got it. So Mind Valley?
Yes.
Okay, so Mind Valley, every year they do a big event in some country. So they do like a retreat, right? So I was watching on YouTube the retreat they had in Ibiza. Ibiza on
Ibiza. I like Ibiza.
Yeah, Ibiza. That's very Spanish.
We party in Ibiza.
Yeah. Sí, señor. Ándale, right? Right? So, and in 2017, and it was the whole topic of it was relationships. Mm-hmm. So they brought in some specialists. So there's a woman called Esther Perez.
Ah, yes, Esther Perez. Yes.
Oh my God, I love her.
Yeah.
And then they had another one, Marissa Mew. I think Mew. You know her?
Marissa Pia?
Marissa Pia. Marissa Muse is a girlfriend of mine. Marissa Pierce.
Well, maybe it was her, would you?
No, Marissa Pierce. And there was this guy, Dan Savage. His name is Dan Savage, or he is Savage. So this guy started do you remember the Dear Abby? Back in the day,
Why does that sound familiar?
Okay, so Cosmopolitan, Clio, Playboy, they had like this thing where you would write in about problems about your relationship.
Right.
So Dear Abby, and then whoever Abby was responding.
Right.
So Dan Savage is gay, right? So he thought it's gonna be let's create something fun and do one of these Dear Abby columns in a newspaper for straight people. Mm-hmm. So he goes us gay people, we live our lives very differently, but it's going to be fun. 25 years later, he's still doing it.
Oh, wow.
So he's really good at it. So they had the three of them on a panel, and they were talking about the grief that people go through at the end of a relationship, and how people find it difficult to get over because they feel they failed. Mm. And then Dan said something that I completely burst into tears, because that's how I've been feeling, that I failed and I was grieving. And he goes, all right. He goes, till death do us part. So you've been married for 56 years, and then one of you dies, right? And then, oh, good, I had a happy, beautiful, long marriage. But you've been together for only 20 years, and then you split up, and you think that you failed. But did you know that marriage was full of hate and resentment and arguments and violence and put-downs? So that is considered a successful marriage, because till death do us part. But this one, you lived happily, you had your thing, but you reached the point when you go, we're done. So now you say that you failed. He goes, think about that. That is like a big aha for me. So
because you don't fail. You're succeeding at living your life again.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you're in it,
you don't realize,
and you have but we loved each other, and why did we argue, and and then one or the other leaves. Like I left because it became toxic, right? And we were just with each other, but we were so fighting the pain of whatever was coming up for us, which had nothing to do really with each other. It had to do with our childhood stuff surfacing. And why? Because I think people reach a place like a capacity, like our capacity. Every time we learn something, we open up and we grow and grow. So our problems get bigger and bigger because we have the capacity to deal with it if we so choose to, right? So I know I can't speak for him. You can interview him, but, my capacity with all this personal development and studying with the best of the best in the world, I started to break through all my not my boundaries, but my limitations. And I started to open up and be able to handle more and more and more. And then it reached the point where I reached my childhood and all the things that have happened to me that actually came up again and again in my life, but I didn't know it consciously. But now I started to go, okay, why is that showing up? Why is that showing up again and again? Okay, I got to go call my coach. Need a session. Something's come up. So I have this amazing lady in Woodend, down in Woodend, Teresa, and she is just a psychotherapist, an inner child psychotherapist. Oh my God. God.
So as a therapist, the relationship,
I'm not a therapist.
the architect.
So here's the thing. I'm not a counselor, I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not a therapist. I'm a coach.
Okay.
So I'm a facilitator, a qualified facilitator and coach. So I don't have that training.
I think that also eliminates for anyone that needs to come and see you, right? It eliminates the fear of saying or the negative connotations that comes with a therapist or psychologist or that you're none of those things, because it's scary.
It
because for me to engage a psychologist or a therapist or counselor, I have to first admit that I failed. No one wants to admit that you failed. So I think I think that's the biggest hurdle that a counselor, therapist, psychologist has.
Yeah. Well, I went to one years and years ago, and I went to a psychotherapist because I didn't know anything about coaching and facilitating. I didn't even know what the word meant, facilitation and coach, right? So for me, a coach was a footy coach or something like that, right? So I went to a psychotherapist, and after about 6 months, I was stressing going to her. And I said to her, listen, are you ever going to say something to me? I said, because I don't know what else to talk to you about. She said, no, I'm one of those psychotherapists that listens. I said, I don't want to replay this over and over and over and over. I need some answers. She said, but I'm not that type. Okay, that's fine. So then I went to a psychologist.
Yeah.
So this was during my marriage, and I went in there and I was like, oh, I'm all, I'm stressed and this and that. And I go, I'm not crazy. He goes, of course you're not. I said, but I'm here. He said, yeah. He said, because you know that you need help. He goes, people that are actually do suffer from very deep-seated issues, they don't know that they need to come. So there's nothing wrong with you. Oh, okay. That was that. But what I learned is that I didn't want to deal anymore with the past. I wanted to go forward. So what I do is I work with individuals or with couples today, where you're at today, because what happened a minute ago or a year ago, you can't change right now. But let's look at what is it that you want, what are your foundations now, and where you want to be. You have no idea where you want to be. You have no clarity, so let's work on that. Where you're at today, live in the now, and then build your life up going forward. And as the coaching happens, of course, memories pop up, and then we discuss it, and I use different processes on them, and they go, oh, I get it. And then if there's something that is deeper, like something that I don't have a qualification in, I have an army of people that I can say, listen, I would recommend you to go and do a session or two with so-and-so to deal with that. Because these people are qualified in dealing with the past and all of that. I work with you today and going forward. Because there's so many people that they don't know where they're at, where they want to be. They just lost. So let's just look at. And you don't need to worry about it, because I've got the tools. And then each time I see you, I give you another tool. And I give you another tool. So from my toolbox into your toolbox. So then I arm you with the baggage. So then it's up to you whether you want to use that toolbox or you choose not to and remain where you're at. And then you're responsible. Don't tell me that it's me, it's you. Because you didn't do anything about it, right?
Yeah. And some people don't want to do anything about it.
It comes from fear. Their fear is higher than the desire of what they want. So and the only way you're going to overcome that is by doing something. Get a book. YouTube is full with videos.
Yeah.
You know, look at this with this COVID, like almost every speaker out there, like, the Tony Robbins and Blessing and Robert Kiyosaki and Joe Dispenza and DeMartini, all these guys that this is all they do. Day in, day out, this is what they do normally. They all gone online and they started, these guys, these events cost thousands of dollars to go. Like I have spent a good 6 figures plus on my development, starting with these people, right? They were doing them for free. So when seize all opportunities, and be very, when you're present, you know what's coming your way, and seize them. Grab it with both hands and go for it, because there's enough people out there telling you that it works. You've seen it. Like sometimes people say to me, yeah, but how do I know it works? Why did you come to me? I've seen your change. Does it work? Oh, yeah. Right? So, but give it a go. Anything new that you learn will benefit you in some shape or form. Anything. If you tell me that this bottle is not good, but what's in it is still good, but you should drink out of this bottle. Why? Because it's made da-da-da-da-da. Great, thank you. So now I'm healthier because I'm not drinking from the plastic, I'm drinking from the glass. The plastic sat in the car for 10 days, it warmed up, does something to it, it's poisonous. Right, thank you, I'll have the glass bottle. So the same thing with personal development. You can't go wrong. You just cannot. Cannot. Because you as a human being, you are clever, you are powerful, you have greatness in you, you are brilliant. And you are full of gifts. You were born with gifts. Time to kind of open them up. It's Christmas every day. Open them up because there's brilliance inside of you. Just take that first step. And then after that, you're going to start doing quantum leaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
I love that. I hope more people who listen to this realize that they might need some help and they do come to you.
Well, I'd love to support anyone that wants a better quality of life. And I'm certified by the Blessing Training Academy in Phoenix, Arizona. And this is our mission, is to change the quality of life of people by creating the best teachers and leaders in the world. Because teachers are leaders and leaders are teachers, So I took upon that mission. My mission is to bring the sparkle back in your eyes so you can laugh wholeheartedly and live the life of your dreams, so that when the time comes, there's no regrets.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's my mission. So I get all choked up. I wrote that on a plane. I wrote that mission statement on a plane coming back from an event, and I went, wow, this stuff is so good. So good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that.
Cool.
Annie?
Yes?
Where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Okay, well, I'm going to give you my details. I don't have a website yet. It's one thing at a time, but you can find me on social media everywhere. It's Annie Kallis. So I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I even did a few TikTok dances.
Oh wow, look at you.
But they're dancers, they're just being silly, I used to be a dancer. I used to dance at, Chasers?
Yes?
Yeah, I used to be a dancer in Chasers and billboards back in the day.
Oh,
That's
wow.
30 years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And I studied ballet in Romania. I was going to be a ballerina.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Many talents.
Wow. I'd ask you to show us some ballet moves, but...
Not ballet. I like freestyle. I'm a freestyle dancer.
Oh, yeah?
Even now I go out dancing.
Lovely.
I love it.
That's perfect.
But on social media and Annie@anniekallis.com, and then my phone number.
Perfect. So we'll put all those links
you
down
do that?
in this show
beautiful.
And make sure people get to know you more through your socials. But Annie, an absolute pleasure having you on. I love the conversation that we have. It's from the first one that we did. It was just so natural.
Thank you. I think when this whole thing is over, the lockdown, we need to do a dinner because it's like
absolutely
we have so much in common.
Absolutely, I can cook you a nice. Mussel
paella?
Garlic pasta.
Or
we
pasta.
can do a paella. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I don't eat mussels. I'm a prawn chick and fish, but mussels
prawn
just slippery suckers. No.
Oysters, you mean?
None of them.
None of them.
Nah, they're all slippery. They're all no, not me. But give me a steak. I'm a steak and veggie chick.
Well, you're speaking to the Argentinian. We do asado. We do it really.
I
really
know.
well.
I
All
love
right.
my steak, man.
All right, we'll do a steak night then.
I could
On
never
the
be a
charcoal.
vegetarian. Never. But
There's
I'd
a funny
love
story.
to.
I was a vegan for 3 or 6 months. I can't remember. And then after that, I just completely. I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. I can't.
Everybody has their choices. My son told me yesterday. He goes, I don't know. So he said something about vegan, and I looked at him and I go, he goes, when did that start? I said, I don't know, honey, but here's the thing. When we started, human beings, the women were at home nurturing. The guys would go out and kill the animals and bring them home. So they didn't go and pick greens. Now, I know that some people, please don't put this in the video. Because I'm going to get murdered by the vegans. Yeah, so I've got a couple of vegetarian friends. Look, I eat whatever you want. I like my steak.
To make you feel better, I think this is fact that the word vegan and vegetarian is from our ancestors for bad hunter. Oh.
That's lesson number 2 today.
It's a Neanderthal for bad hunter. I think that's fact. National Geographic. I'm not sure.
I need to look it up. Now, thank you for having me. This was like the best. This was awesome. Thank you.
Let's do this again.
I would love it.
For season 3, we'll get you
I
on
have
again.
plenty stories. Let me tell you. Thank you.
Annie, thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for listening.
Thank you. Thanks.